Hi everybody, welcome to IndyCar on what's become known as Boris Day. Interestingly, we were all sitting watching the TV or listening to the radio expecting the result to be announced by the Conservative Party chairman, and yet nothing, no go. The chairman's been on stage waffling for the last few minutes and thanking everybody, virtually including his mother and his ancestors. In the meantime, Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt seem to be conspicuously absent, and it's beginning to look as if Boris Johnson might actually have climbed out the gents' toilet window rather than coming on stage and accepting the new leadership of the Tory party and becoming Prime Minister. Could it be that Boris has actually just bottled it and has left the country? Who knows? Anyway, on to actual news now, rather than the stage-managed BBC slavering over the Tory party. And it's interesting to note that while all this pantomime of changing leaders has carried on with this unelected change of Prime Minister, in the meantime, the diminished nature of the British state is becoming much more evident now as time passes, with Jeremy Hunt actually having to announce that he needs to form a naval coalition with the European Union in order to provide enough naval support to actually protect British ships going through the Gulf of Hormuz. At the moment, there is a single frigate on duty, a single British frigate on duty in the Gulf, and it is to be replaced by another ship which is being sent out there. I believe it's going to be a destroyer this time, one of the new destroyers, which interestingly were designed with an engine cooling system which didn't work in the warm waters of the Gulf, and have had to be retrofitted with a new cooling system before they can venture back to sea. So Britain, which used to have a naval force in 1982 of 64 surface vessels, including 4 aircraft carriers, over a dozen destroyers, and I think it was something like about 30 frigates, is now down to just 20 ships, 2 aircraft carriers, a few, I think it's only about 8 now, destroyers if I'm right, and the rest made up of an ageing fleet of frigates which are rapidly going out of date. So the British government is now faced with the embarrassment of having a naval force which isn't up to the job. And with the surprise announcement from Donald Trump that there was no way any American ships were going to go to the Gulf to reinforce this British presence there, has left the United Kingdom looking like what it really is, a shrunken, shriveled remnant of its former military self. I mean, with less than, what is it? It's about less than a third of its original size in terms of naval force. Very hard for the United Kingdom to project force anywhere in the world at the moment when its ships are clanking and rusting, and the ones that have been built to replace them have the wrong cooling systems or are leaking or are having to return to port for other repairs. So when Boris Johnson does finally make an appearance, which he's expected to do sometime around about now, it will be to a country which is on its knees, where he has promised to lead Britain out of the European Union on or by the 31st of October, with or without a deal. He has only 3 months to rally Parliament around whatever scheme that he can put together and present that will give a majority decision to leave the European Union. In the meantime, the Lib Dems now have their equivalent of Margaret Thatcher leading them. In fact, she is a Thatcherite, Jo Swinson, very much in the mould of Margaret Thatcher. Not really, I wouldn't have called Jo Swinson a Liberal Democrat. She is really a Tory in a yellow coat. Anyway, she's now lining herself up, apparently, to become the next PM because she's anticipating a general election. And the BBC's correspondents, pardon me, see Boris Johnson as coming to power at a point where he's going to have to do something drastic, and it may well be that he has to come up with a plan which rallies enough support, and if he can't rally that support in Parliament for leaving the European Union with a deal, then he will have to go to a general election, because Parliament at the moment, it's touch and go whether they will be able to stop him taking the UK out of the European Union without a deal. At the moment, it's actually come to the point where an unelected MP is on the brink of leading the country out of a massive treaty against the wishes of the majority of parliamentarians. This is a precedent in British history that has never been set before, where the Prime Minister could be acting against the best interests of the country and acting against the elected members of Parliament in London. The good news, I suppose, if it is good news, is the fact that most of the minor parties are lined up in favour of staying in the EU. In other words, of basically repealing the Article 50 signature and just saying cancel Brexit. It's not a good idea. It would be stupid to go through with it. So there is this battle royal about to take place in British politics. As far as Scotland is concerned, we have a government here which is anti-Brexit, and it's very clearly anti-Brexit, and it's made no bones about the fact that the SNP government here is demanding that Scotland remains in the EU to protect its vital export orders and its balance of payments. Because Scotland's wealth, and it is wealth, is generated through exports and exporting more than it imports. If that is wrecked by Brexit, then the whole Scottish economy will fold inwards, and we end up with another collapse like we saw in the 1980s under Margaret Thatcher, which would be a complete catastrophe for Scotland, but not only Scotland, but for the rest of the United Kingdom as well. Anyway, I'm going to keep this short because I'm probably talking over the anointment of the new King of the Tory party, Boris Johnson. If it's a surprise and Jeremy Hunt somehow manages to win this, then all bets are off. Who knows what might happen. But whatever happens in the next 3 months will determine when we vote for independence, because it's all coming down to the wire now. 3 months to go and still no sign of hope on the horizon for saving the country from Brexit. If Boris Johnson commits the country to Brexit and says that he is definitely going to go through with it, and he has the arithmetic to carry it through, then it's a definite case of voting to leave the UK, because at that point there is no way of turning it back. If Boris Johnson wants to leave the EU and he can carry a majority in Parliament to do so with or without a deal, there needs to be an alternative for Scotland. Remember, 62% of Scots voted against leaving the European Union, and that view has hardened in recent months. The last polls I saw were showing 73% of Scots now demanding to stay in the European Union. So it's a very, very small proportion of Scottish voters who want Brexit to happen. Anyway, that's about it from me today. We'll see which of these two clowns is chosen to lead the Conservative Party and which one of them is left holding the short straw. I think it will be Boris Johnson, and I think it will be Boris Johnson simply because nobody else wants to do the job. And I'm pretty certain that the Tory party, although it might actually like Jeremy Hunt, he is too much of a lightweight, and he is not he's not a Trump sycophant in the same way that Boris Johnson is. The Tory party have tied the success of the British economy post-Brexit to a deal with Donald Trump, a man who, to put it mildly, is capricious. I mean, Donald Trump has what somebody used to describe as a whim of iron. He can change his mind in a sentence. He can make one statement and contradict it in the very next sentence. So there's absolutely no guarantee that the United Kingdom will get any kind of deal with the USA, let alone a deal which actually benefits us. Anyway, I have to go. Got to go do some work now, but we'll wait and see who gets chosen by the Tory party. Incidentally, just a little numbers check for you today. I've been going on about this a bit recently. I was hoping to try and break through the 250,000 viewers a month mark. I've now done that. We're up to 253,800 views per month now on IndyCar, and that's something like twice the number of Tory voters who have elected whoever this new Tory leader is. That'll give you an idea of the scale of things, that I have twice the number of viewers that the Tory party has members now. Anyway, I will see you all later. Have a good day, and we'll see if Bojo the Clown has been duly chosen as the leader of the Tories. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.